So today I'm going to be covering the basics of Socrative. Now the first thing I'm going to be talking about is how to actually make an account and then log in as a teacher and show you what it will look like from a student's point of view. Now the first thing to do is click on create a free account. Once we click that, we'll be shown to this page. You fill out your name, your email, and then you create a password. You select your organization type and what role it is. So most people will be clicking teacher here, and then after you've filled this all out, you click submit. Now the next thing to do is now log in. So I'll just log in using my details. Once you're logged on, you brought to this first page. Now this is the page that you'll want to be looking at once you've actually created a quiz. So for now we'll ignore this page and we'll go down and we'll go on to manage quizzes, which is the next tab. So if we just go up here, click this, you'll be given these four options. Create a quiz is to well, actually make a quiz to actually edit, give to your students, and then to manipulate. Import quiz is if you've made a quiz already on another account. You can import that onto this account by using a URL, or you can actually use Excel to create a quiz, and they'll give you a template, which is here. You have to download the Excel template and then you fill it out and then you upload it back onto here and it will make you that quiz. But generally speaking, you'd want to create your own quiz unless there's a specialist case where you want to use one that you've already made. My quizzes is where you'll go once you've made a quiz. So if you go on here, I've got a couple of quizzes. Here they are. Show you what your quizzes, and then it lets you edit them and all that kind of stuff. And then if you go back, the final one is reports. So once you've done your quizzes and you've let your students complete them, this will keep track of how your students are doing. So what students are doing well and what questions they're struggling on. All that kind of stuff is all there. So let's go on create quiz. Once you go on create quiz, you will be shown this page, and this is basically where you fill out the name of your quiz and start plunking the questions on there. So let's name our quiz example and the date, which is the 8th of the 7th. And now there are these three options. If you click multiple choice, you'll be writing out the question. You can attach an image if you want. So if it's a question about summer, you attach a summer picture, whatever you want, whatever the question's for. You don't have to include a picture, but sometimes it makes it a bit more visually appealing. Now this is where, at the top is where you ask your questions. So for example, what month are we in? Now that's my question, and now this is where you write your answers out. So January, February, March, April, and then the month, which is July. Now that's obviously the correct answer. So we'll click here, correct. And now once this question is asked, you will the correct answer is July, and now that will be the correct answer when your students do it. Now so that's all to do with multiple choice. It's pretty self-explanatory. And next one is true or false. Click that again. You can attach a picture. You ask a question. So let's say, what is it Thursday today? Which it isn't. And no, it isn't Thursday. So the correct answer is not true. It's false. So we'll click false. So that means that once your students have answered this question, they click false, they'll get it right, and if they click true, they'll get it wrong. And the last question is short answer. Now this is to do with like questions that you want your students to write out themselves. So let's say it's how did you find today's lesson? There's no actual answer for this. So what you have happen is after your students have done this quiz, all the answers they come up will come up, and then you can tick them correct or tick them wrong. But what you can do is you can actually add answers. So let's say there's a keyword that you want them to mention. So good, excellent, or that they're happy. These are all three things that this question will look, and if they get those, either of any of those, then they'll get it right. But it's generally speaking, it's just a case of you looking at the answers and clicking yourself if it's right or wrong. Now, after you've done all of these questions, you go to the top of the screen, click Save and Exit. Now, I'm not going to do that for now because I've already made some quizzes, so I'm going to just come out of this. And I'm going to go to, once you've created a quiz, you can now go to the left tab, which is Dashboard. Now, these four different options for actually how to initiate your tests. Start quiz, completely self-explanatory. You pick the quiz that you want to start, and then you're given these little options, and they're giving the first option is like how you want it to be navigated. Student paced, so each time they answer a question, they'll be given feedback straight away. This one's again student based, but instead of getting the answer straight away, at the end they'll get their score. And teacher paced is where you will dictate the speed of the quizzes, so they won't be able to go on to the next question until you let everyone go on to the next question. So depending on what kind of quiz you want, it's whatever. But I'm going to put it on the middle one for now, because I want them to be able to go at their own pace, but I want the answers to come at the end. Now, these three options: disable student names. So once you've seen the results of the quiz, you can have the option of disabling their names. Randomizing the question order, randomizing the answer order. So these two I want to be ticked, because I've got a bit of a trend of having the last option the correct answer, and I don't want that to impact on their scores. So I'm going to select both of those. Now, if you click select and you select start, you'll be taken to this page, and this will show you the progress as you go. Now, obviously I've got no students doing this quiz, so as an example, I'm going to start the quiz up as if I was a student. Now, what you have to do is you have to you either get your students to type this code up, or you get them to copy and paste it if you send it to them over email, and then you go on to Socrative again, but this time you go on the student login page with the http socrative.com/login/student. You get taken to this page, just copy and paste the code, and now this student should be taken to a page where they're asked to enter their name. So I'll enter my name here. And then after you've put your name down, you're then taken to the quiz. So is it Thursday? No, it isn't. Click next. How did you find today's lesson? Good. And what month are we on? We're in July. Now, all of these answers should be correct. Let's have a look. So 100% score, first one, second one, third one, all correct. Now this is what you'd see, and each of these different students would come down each row. That's how you'd see the results. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's how you make a quiz, and that's how you present a quiz. Now let's go back to the dashboard quickly, and I'll show you the rest of them. The other options are quick question, space phrase, and exit ticket. Quick question is questions that you ask in your lesson, and this doesn't give you the option to give the question a title, so it's just a question that will pop up in your mind. So let's say you ask a question about whatever the subject you're talking about, and then you say true or false in lesson. You can then click true or false here. You'll be given a blank canvas. Give them the code. Give your students the code, and then they'll be able to go on there, and they'll be able to answer true or false depending on whatever you just asked them. So it's just a quick question. It says what it is. Space phrase is where you can set up questions for teams. Now let's go into space phrase and I'll show you. If you select the quiz, so let's select the example. So select the example 0807. You can select how many teams you want your class to be split up to. So let's say this is a team quiz. And then you can either get the students to be randomly allocated to teams or student selected teams. And then Rocket is just how you'll be able to see the data. It's just on the graph. So that's nothing to worry about. You can pay anything for that. Let's just leave it as Rocket. Then if you click start, your students will be able to, depending on if it's auto-assign or if it's on student allocated, once they log in, they will be assorted into a team if it's auto-assigned, or they'll be able to click a team. And then instead of seeing the data for each student, you'll see like a bar chart of how they're doing, I'll quickly show as an example. This is the bar chart. So you'll be able to see how the teams do depending on how many questions they answer, and then it'll go to the right of the screen if they're doing really well, or middle is kind of like half the questions right, etc. So that's really useful for group activities. Now if we go back to the dashboard, the last one is the exit ticket. Now the exit ticket gives you questions to your students that are always the same, and I'll show you as an example. So again, I've started the quiz up, copy and paste the code to my students one. Go on the student page. Copy and paste the student code. And enter your name, so Piers Taylor. Now these are 3 same questions every time, so it will always ask you how your students followed today's material went. It'll ask you what did you learn. And the last question is, please answer the teacher's question. So the last question will be like a question that you answered at the end of the lesson to summarize what you've learned. So to check your students, make sure they know what they were talking about. So what is the opposite of addition? That's an example of a question you'd ask in maths. As a very, very simple question, obviously, just as an example though. And then your students would have to put subtraction to get it right. That's just an example of something that teachers could ask. And then after that, again, you'll be able to see all of their answers. So put subtraction, and then the first one, because it's like obviously a right or wrong answer, because obviously you want them to learn a lot. Then they've got 100% because I said that I learned a lot in the lesson, and the other ones are ambiguous, so they'll tell you just what they learned in description format and what the answer to the question, and that is a summary of all the basics of Socrative. Thank you for watching.